What happened? Talking Clemson football and the trip to Notre Dame, and of course, coming up back in the ACC at home against Louisville. We got Jason Priester, as we always do, from allclemson.com. Get on over there to allclemson.com on SI. Jason, how are we doing today?
I'm doing pretty good, man. How about you?
Doing just fine. Been waiting for this conversation. So, like I said at the beginning, what happened?
Clemson got their teeth kicked in. That's what happened. It was kind of hard to watch. If you'd have told me going into that game that Clemson was going to get dominated, not just beat, but just thoroughly dominated on both lines of scrimmage, I'd have had a hard time swallowing that. It's not a team that we see get pushed around very often, and that's what happened Saturday night. And it's not like Notre Dame did anything fancy or came out with some, different style of game plan. They just lined up, ran the ball right at Clemson, and ran it right over them. And they did it all night long. I think they only threw eight passes in the entire game. It didn't matter if it was second long, second and short, third and long, third and short. They were handing it off to those backs, and they were picking up chunks of yards. Clemson's really struggling with some, I think the inexperience of linebackers really hurt them at times this season, and I think it was a big-time problem on the field Saturday night.
Yeah, if there's one thing that we count on in Clemson football, and especially with this particular team, it's that defensive front. And so the offensive struggles weren't completely a shock, but that Notre Dame just lined up and ran down their throats was pretty startling.
Yeah, I haven't even gone back and watched the whole game yet, but what I remember watching live, Notre Dame was routinely double teaming the tackles, and the linebackers were either slow to react or out of position, and the ends had problems setting the edges. So, it was just a demoralizing effort. We're going to find out a lot about this Clemson team this week, how they bounce back, not from just the loss, but, the way they lost. It's going to say a lot about this team. And there's been a lot of questions about this team all season long. Me and you talked about it many times, how they've struggled to put together complete games, be consistent for 4 quarters, and that kind of thing. So I think how they rebound this week is going to be very telling about where this team stands.
DJ Uiagalelei is the starting quarterback. It's a similar situation to what we saw against Syracuse. He got pulled. Klubnik came in. Different result this time. Maybe Dabo's worst nightmare in that he makes that switch deep in their own end, and Klubnik turns it over, and then he goes right back to DJ, who then throws a pick six. Although DJ's issues were probably the least of the issues because he had guys in his lap all night.
Yeah, I didn't, my biggest thing on the offensive side of the ball, and I still don't understand the game plan. I think Clemson in the first half threw one ball that traveled further than 10 yards in the air. And that was on 4th down, and 4th down and 4, and they chose to throw it 40 yards down the field. Other than that, everything was, little swing passes to the tight ends or the running backs or bubble screens, something within a couple yards of the line of scrimmage or behind the line of scrimmage. And I, trying to attack the perimeter of that Notre Dame defense. And to me, that was head scratching. I don't understand it. I didn't understand it then. Still don't understand it. It seemed like once they got down 28-0, they finally started to open it up and let the quarterback throw the ball down the field some, but it was too little too late then. It's almost like watching that game, the coaching staff has zero faith in that offense's ability to push the ball down the field. And, let's face it, this offense has regressed over the past 2-3 weeks. I don't think DJ was as bad in this game as he was against Syracuse, but he still wasn't very good. I saw a time or two, he misses guys that are open and he throws it to another guy that's covered. Like even on the 4th and 4, I think he was trying to get it to Bo Collins down the field. Antonio Williams has got to step on his guy, and DJ don't see him. There's another play. I forget another one. He threw it into coverage and he had Maffa open in the flat. I mean, it was not like guys were running free in the secondary wide open all night long, but there was a handful of times here and there that he missed some open guys.
What's your take on the offensive line?
They got their teeth kicked in too. I mean, it's just no other way to say it. They just got dominated, plain and simple. And I knew going in that was a pretty good Notre Dame defensive front, but Clemson's offensive line's been halfway decent in pass protection most of the year, and I didn't think they were all that great in pass pro the other night, not at all.